I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. And hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is the one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Counting like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.
What up? It is Friday. This is our last live stream before we head to Indianapolis for the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. I just got the full download from the NFL on schedules and things like that, and well, it's going to be a lot. Last year there were way more holes, guys that just didn't appear. Weren't there for whatever reason, or they were only there for the workouts. So David and I definitely have our work cut out for us. I've also been planning some special activities. My 2025 NBA champion Denver Nuggets will be in Indiana for that on Monday night. So good chance that I go catch up with my old buddy, the Joker. All right, we're going to talk about defensive players today. As I said, this is our last live stream before the combine. So I will update the. I see Red Sea in the YouTube has said, "Do we have an update on Mr. Richard Tankerous Spencer IV?" I'm not going to give you the full update. Just A, to save you the gory details. B, because I'm not sure you would believe me even if I told you. He will be in the hospital through the weekend. We are hoping, please God, that he will be out on Monday. So as the schedule currently sits, I am driving Monday, Parks Ford Mobile Studio, to get to Indianapolis. I should be there around lunchtime. My hope is that he will be out of the hospital and hopefully even back to work Monday. If not, I will do a live on Monday whenever I get everything set up in our Airbnb. And then hopefully we will be back to some form of normal on Tuesday. I will be doing recorded things with Tank. That is the current goal for the ESPN radio show. So we're hoping to be back on ESPN radio Tuesday. But he had a setback this morning, and so he will not be out tomorrow as had been previously hoped. But he's in as good a spirits as you could be. I would have gone full John Q by this time and probably had somebody at gunpoint. So it's better that it's him than if it was me, because I would be losing my absolute shit right now if I were him. But he's a more centered person than I am. Let's see. Brandon Hollum said, I want to see what these defensive tackles have to offer at the combine. And frankly, defensive tackle is a good place to start with our list of guys to watch at the combine. Because one of the first names when we decided to do this that just jumped off to me was Shamar Stewart. What exactly is he going to do this week in Indianapolis? I mean, he's 6'6", 290. I think there's a great chance he runs way faster than you think. And, I mean, he's one of a litany. There are a ton of guys that line up defensive line-wise that I'm really interested to see what they do. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order because that's the way the list that I have is sorted. Darius Alexander out of Toledo. He's one that I really want to see in the agility drills just to see how he moves. There has been a huge upswing in his draft stock since the Senior Bowl. We're now talking about him. I mean, I have seen him in the first round. I don't think that's going to happen. But there is a possibility that he winds up top 50. And I think, for me, that's even a little bit, we're getting into the, okay, have we gone too far here? I really like the value on him at the top of the third, just solely because you do have a big jump in level of competition. And I think there will be a learning curve for him. That's really the way my evaluations work. Guys that can come in and contribute right away, I don't really have a whole lot of reservations about. Those are first-round picks. Guys that have first-round talent, but I have some form of reservation about, those are second-round picks. Third-round picks are guys that come out of smaller conferences, unless it's a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, where I didn't have any worries about him. There have been a handful of those guys over the years. Khalil Mack, back in the day, coming out of Buffalo. They happen. Gray Zabel this year. That's another good example. I'm not worried about level of competition or anything like that with you. The talent is so good that I'm not worried. Those are first round pick kind of guys. You get with Darius Alexander, I love the raw talent, but I'm not real sure exactly how he's going to translate at the next level and how quickly he's going to translate at the next level. I mean, and I use a guy like Malcolm Kuntz, came out of Buffalo a few years ago. He was largely irrelevant the first 2 years. Then that third year, he absolutely exploded. PFF has redone their big board, and now Darius Alexander's at 28, which to me feels that's a lot for a guy that wasn't a great pass rusher in the MAC. He was a good one, but he was not great. So that feels like a bit of a jump to me. Going down the list, I'm really interested in the Oregon guys, Jordan Birch and Derek Harmon. It feels to me like Oregon has two guys that fit this kind of body frame where they're really tall, and they're about 290. They have two of them every single year, and then they go to the league and just kind of disappear. Outside of Reek Armstead, all the rest of them have just kind of disappeared. So I will be interested to see if there's anything out of those guys that really jump off the page. I'll go ahead and tell you there's a better chance that they let me go run the 40 than that Abdul Carter is going to do it by choice. A lower tier guy that I'm really interested in, Howard Cross III. His dad, obviously Howard Cross, the broadcaster, that I liked his tape a lot. And I keep seeing him in that 6th, 7th round range. I'm curious if he can do anything this week to elevate that. Donovan Ezeraku is a guy that could come in and blow out the combine because he could run really, really fast. Joshua Farmer could be really quick for a defensive tackle. I don't know how many of those mid-first round guys you're going to see a limited workout from, and I'm more looking at like Mike Green. Mike Green and James Pearce, those guys really need to worry about the interviews more than anything that happens on the field, because that's where their projection is going to change, because they have character red flags and things like that they're worrisome. I see Eat and Sleep Football mentioned Walter Nolan and TJ Sanders. They are definitely guys that I want to see at the combine because they do look really quick on tape. I'm curious with Nolan specifically. And this is me, I've done this for a while. I've seen a lot of these guys. I won't be shocked if Nolan plays really fast and then the time speeds are not exactly blazing. I think there's a possibility that you see the times on him and go, well, those are just largely average. Ja Joyner out of Minnesota is another guy that I want to say. He was consistently the fastest defensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl has this zebra thing that basically it's a little sensor that goes on every one of the players, and it gives you live time miles per hour on them and distance traveled, and it's a really cool thing. But Ja Joyner was at the top of that, and I'm betting he comes in and goes really, really quick. Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA is another one that I'm intrigued to see how he runs. That dude looks like a Terminator. If he runs anywhere near the way he looks, then we're going to start talking about him just absolutely surging up boards. J.J. Pegues, he was a kid that played fullback at Ole Miss and defensive tackle. I'm really curious to see how he moves, how he runs. There's been a lot of – I see him as a day 3 guy. There's been a lot of talk that he could sneak into day 2. Q Robinson, that's a name that I haven't said on this channel really at all. The workout for him is going to be really, really, really big. The raw physical on him is out of this world. And there was some tape from him at Alabama that I really liked, but this will be a big time for him. Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, I want to see how he moves in the drills. I see him as a 4-3 hand in the dirt guy. I have talked to some people that think he could stand up and do more move things. That's where I want to see you in the workouts. How do you move? How do you shift through the drills? When they stand you up and start dropping you back into coverage, how do you look? Just to see if you can do those things. Nick Skirton, or as he is affectionately referred to here as hurting for a skirtin'. I want to see what he comes in and weighs at. And there are a few of these guys. I want to see how you weigh the measurables, things like that. Josiah Stewart, another one that I really want to see the measurables on. Princely Uman Malayan, I want to see how he moves if teams think he can stand up. David Walker from Central Arkansas had a really nondescript week in Mobile. I want to see how he performs here. And then Tyleik Williams, just because, he and Dayon Walker, two guys that big, it's just fun. It's just fun to see the big fellas go out there and work out. All right, I'm gonna try to do a better job of keeping up with the chat than I did yesterday. So, Notorious B.I.G., his girl says he's big baby when he's sick. My wife says I'm the most insufferable person on the planet Earth when I'm sick, and I tend to agree. Red Sea, got to remember Tank's a Bucks fan. He's used to misery and disappointment, unlike us Jets and Cardinals fans who are just sick and tired of it. Yeah, he gets that one every 20 years Super Bowl that keeps him from being really tired of the misery. Notorious B.I.G. Shamar Stewart's going to fool a lot of people into thinking he's a top 10 pick. To me, I think he's already fooled a lot of people into thinking he's a first-round pick. So if he comes to the combine and absolutely blows it out, then yeah, he very much could do that. By the way, and this is for a content thing, be sure you follow us on social medias, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, the Tiki Tack. There's another one that I forget. Twitter. I will be posting a lot of content schedules there. I'm going to try to narrow down the content schedule tonight because I really don't want to work this weekend if I don't have to, which means I'll be pushing out all of the mock drafts. I've got 4 left to record. Those will be recorded probably this afternoon and put out for Sunday. We have a couple more that go out today, and then we'll get to whoever's at 25. And I'm not going to lie, I don't have the order in front of me. Houston. So we had the Steelers earlier. We just had the Chargers. We'll have the Packers at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Minnesota 8 tonight. Houston will go out tomorrow morning. Then we'll have the Rams, Ravens, and Lions Saturday. Commanders, Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs will go out on Sunday. And thank you to all of you that are going through and watching the videos all the way through, commenting, liking, Sir Jimothy, Bill Workman, Rex B, Red C. There's so many of you that I don't even know who some of you are because your name pops up different than I'm used to on the backside here. So just know that I see all of you. I appreciate all of you more than I could ever say. This week has been, as of right now, unless something aggressively changes, this will be the biggest add in subscribers that we've had in any week since we started the channel. And that's going all the way back to the first week of the channel. So we've only had, there was a day around the draft in 2021 that we had a really crazy day. But other than, we haven't had a week like this at any point. And it really has just reinvigorated me for the Draftmas season and all the things that we're going to do. I'm so excited for this draft season and all the things that we're going to be able to do. Eat and Sleep Football said the first part that I had already said about Walter Nolan and TJ Sanders, and I don't care what they run, but I want to see Tyleik Williams just for fun. That's how I feel about the big guys. So I'm a big fan of watching big guys work out. Bill Booty Cheeks said, this coming from an Oregon fan, Jordan Birch isn't good. I'm glad we agree on that because I agree with you wholeheartedly. He has just a guy written all over him. And Jag, those are my initials. I love the Jag reference. He's a Jag. Notorious B.I.G. said, I hope James Pearce runs as slow as humanly possible. If James Pearce runs slow, he might end up in the 4th fucking round at the rate we're going. Because I have never seen a player that more people want to denigrate, but then don't want to tell you why they're denigrating him, which is just, it's so bizarre to me. And I mentioned the content schedule from the Combine. I am going to get in front of James Pearce. And I have a couple questions I'd like to ask him. We will be recording all of those things. It will be David and I. Obviously, we have to go back to the war room to upload all those things. The way the schedule looks, it appears that we will be doing interviews in the morning, going back to upload all of these things, have them run through. Then we'll do the workouts. We cannot film anything from inside there. NFL Network owns all of that. We are going in to watch the workouts specifically. If you see a big leprechaun with the most gigantic set of binoculars you've ever seen, that's me. And David Smith, who is, I believe, equally my size, will be sitting right beside me. So we'll be in for the workouts. Then we will come back. We will do some lives from the Airbnb. I just rented a 4,000 square foot Airbnb, so we've got plenty of room to do all of the things. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. But be on the lookout on social medias for those content schedules. Sorry, for some reason I'm really fucking thirsty this morning or this afternoon. Red Sea said, same big. I need him to fall to Arizona. I don't think you have to worry about him falling to you. The question is, are you going to get revved up about his character red flags? I think he will be there for them. Andreas Pinkney said, if Pearce interviews badly, he will drop because of that red flag bullshit. I agree with you. I don't think he should. I don't think James Pearce falls out of the first round because I can't see a path to Howie Roseman is going to see that talent unless he walks into his interview with the Eagles with a severed head in a bag and a bloody knife in his other hand. I don't see any way he gets past the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Calvin Beermaster Rogers, I lost his comment. Of course, I said his name and lost it. Said, I really want to see how fast Siobhan Ravel Jr. runs. He doesn't look very fast, but he's a stud in coverage. I will be a little shocked if he runs here. If he runs, I think it's more likely he runs at the East Carolina Pro Day. And that date, I have that date. It is at the end of March. So I think it's more likely that Ravel comes here to do the interviews. I don't think he's going to work out. He's still recovering from the ACL. I believe he is faster than people think. I'm going to look into. He said he doesn't look very fast on tape, but he's a dog in zone coverage. He is very good in zone. My projection, and I'm not going to say it's flawless. I will say it's pretty fucking accurate. Has him at 4.39. So that was before the injury. I can't tell you what he'll run now. But my projection had him at a 4.39. Randy Lutz. Darien Porter is pretty tall for sure. He's 6'4", and clocked at 21.26 miles per hour at the Senior Bowl. If he runs a fast 40, could he move up boards? So now it depends on what you're asking me. Boards of what you will see from other people, yes, he could move up their boards. I have him in the top 50 as it sits because I saw him in person and went, that kid is going to run one of the fastest 40s at the combine, so I've already given him the bump. If he doesn't run blazing fast, he will drop for me and probably stay about the same for other people. If he runs as fast as I think he will, then you could see a huge jump on boards. I've seen him largely in the third round for other people. I'm projecting him at a 4.31. So we will see how accurate I am. And what I use has been largely very accurate. I've missed some gruesomely, but it's been pretty accurate over the years. Colin Green, if Jahad Campbell runs, he's going to run really, really fast. I want to see how fast Demetrius Knight is in a straight line. That's a really good transition into linebackers. Let me finish the rest of the comments, and we'll go to linebackers next. Big said he's going to make sure nobody else's team wants James Pearce Jr. And Red Sea said, Big, it's too late. He's a Cardinal. You don't want him. He's sorry, the comment confused me. Notorious B.I.G. said, Red Sea, you don't want him. He said he hates the color red. Source, trust me, bro. I've seen a lot of sources on Twitter that I feel like are, trust me, bro. Andreas Pinkney said he's got some mock drafts to catch up on. The Mullet King is dropping dimes. Hard for me to keep up. We tried to slow it down to 4 a day. I got a little behind with Tank's foot injury, so I had to catch up and kind of pump those out really fast. We're going 4 a day now. We should not miss a beat on the content schedule either, because I'm going to record a something to go out on Monday while I'm traveling. And it will be set up as a premiere just like this in that 12 o'clock window. So you will be able to have the chat and all those things as we currently do. Randy Lutz said he's a new sub as of this week. We appreciate you, Randy Lutz, being a new subscriber here. We're like an AA meeting for sports. We all have something that has just haunted us for years. For me, it's hyper athletic linebackers. Vernon Golston. Oh God, I could do a lot of those that I've fallen for. Feel free to comment your NFL draft drug of choice in the comments. We like it here. You guys have become like genuine, honest to God friends and family for me over the years, and I appreciate you guys so much. Andreas Pinckney at Notorious B.I.G. Pearce at 9 and Alec Ayumanor at 40 would make me beyond excited for the Saints. There is a possibility of that. Pearce would really have to answer some red flag things, and I've seen a lot of Alec Ayumanor at the back end of the first round, so there's a possibility. So I don't know with Ayumanor. I think this week's going to be big for him as well. Randy Lutz said Ty Robinson stood out to me at the Senior Bowl, but I haven't heard much about him. What are your thoughts on him? Ty Robinson, if I'm pretty confident you're talking about the kid out of Nebraska. I'm not going to lie to you that I have not dug into him as much as I probably should. The combine is really where I start highlighting players. I've got basically a script around here somewhere. It may be in my bag. I'm trying to be a good boy and pack early, which I don't usually do. But Robinson was not a guy that really shined on tape to me. I am looking through my board right now. I have him in the low 200s. So he's a big damn dude, and he had a good year last year at Nebraska. He did not jump off the screen to me. I use the combine as a tool of the guys that I need to go back and watch the tape on to see if I need to readjust them. I don't really use the combine of, oh, holy shit, this guy ran really fast. Let me search him up my board. It's more, I need to go back and watch the tape. And I'll give you a scenario where if a guy runs a 4.3 40 as a corner, but you don't play at 4.3. So the service that I was talking about that gives me those numbers, if you play like a 4.45 guy, it doesn't really matter that you can run 4.3 in a straight line. Okay, you can keep up with a guy in a Hail Mary situation. So for 8 plays a year, that shows up. What I then do is I had you projected at 4.45, but you ran 4.3. I go back to the tape and try to figure out why is it that you don't play that fast? Why is it that you don't look like that guy on film? And that's what I try to dive through. Look, some of these guys go, and I will say it's a large number of these guys, probably 60%, go to the combine, and what I see in the drills is exactly what I saw on tape. So no further eval needed. I highlight them with a green on my sheets, and they're done. You're not going to move in terms of order. Now, somebody might go in front of you, which will drop you down, or fall behind you, which could push you up. But in terms of your eval, your numbers locked in, it is not going to change. And mainly, numbers are locked in anyway, but I can get back and watch tape and change them just a little bit. Oh, let's see. Red C said, I don't give a damn if he hates red. We'll change our jerseys again. Good for you. Vincent Collier, Cam Scattaboo needs to run. He's going to because he's my number 3 running back, but I think a lot of guys are faster than him. I have Scattaboo. Sorry, I got to go back to offense. I have Scattaboo at a 4.55. So if he runs faster than 4.55, I will be happy. If he runs a 4.55, I'll be good. Anything really sub 4.6 is going to start raising questions. But yes, I think there are a lot of guys in this draft that are faster than him. Randy Lutz, speaking of red flags, let's say Mike Green's rumors are true, multiple domestic violences in his history. What can he do or say in interviews to fix it? That is a really fucking good question, Randy. So I learned this last year. Last year was my first combine on site. I much better know how to attack this than I did last year. So basically, these guys just bounce around and they're doing interviews behind closed doors. What can he do to fix it? If there are multiple DVs in his past, domestic violences, there are teams that will take him off the board. It doesn't matter what he says. the teams that are more open to things like that and character red flags, he could come in and own it and just say that's not who he is and be really sincere about it. Where guys really tend to fall is when they start to evade it. Of, oh, no, it didn't happen. I'm going to level with you. The reason that I wait to talk about red flags, I didn't used to do that. Anybody that's been around with us for the last 4 years, they know I did not always wait on red flags. The reason that I do is that I have an absolute bulldog that can confirm a lot of these things because he works for a very large entity that basically they do their own research. If an NFL team asks you about it this upcoming week, they already know it's true. There's no running from it. No, oh, it didn't happen. And people go back to the Des Bryant, was your mom a prostitute thing. They weren't accusing her of being a prostitute. They were trying to rattle Des Bryant because he had a really bad temper, and it was well known around the league. That's the reason they said that. Just things that I have learned over the last couple years about the combine that make it super, super fascinating to me. Bill Workman said James Pearce will not interview poorly. He's too smart not to be prepared. I don't know with Pearce. I'm looking forward to getting in front of him myself. I want to see face to face what I talked to the Tennessee guys. They all liked him. So I want to see the vibe he gives off and then really dig into what I find with him. Randy Lutz, is Darien Porter Reek Woolen? That is actually the comparison that I made for him when I put him with the Cincinnati Bengals in their mock draft. Putting in work with Bill Workman, which is a section of our website that I promise you will be done in the coming days. Said new t-shirt idea. Source, trust me, bro. I actually like that idea a lot. I think that one's really, really good. Chiefs Nation UK, is Malachi Starks going to Kyle Hamilton the 40 this year? I hope not, because good God almighty, I do not want to argue about Malachi Starks for 2 damn months. And if he runs slow, you talk about a player that I'm going to argue a lot about. Speaking of which, me arguing, I am doing a lot of other shows this week. Follow us on all the social medias at the Sportsocracy. I'm going to try to put together a calendar of all the other shows that I am doing this week. I don't always know when they're going out, so if you see a blank, just know that it's coming, and I will share it whenever that drops. So my projection on Malachi Starks 40-wise is... Oh, got to go back to defense. I have him in the low 4.4s. So 4.41 is where I have him. If he's slower than that, then that could lead to some issues with him. Okay. What's haunted me during the draft? Red Sea. Answer, Steve Keim. Fortunately, I'm in remission with Monty Ossenfort. I'm hoping I will be with Darren Muji. Randy Lutz said, physical freak edge rushers for me. First draft prospect that got my attention on the draft was Brian Rakpo. There is a name I did not think I would hear today in 2009, and he was a physical freak. I was always kind of shocked he wasn't better than he was. And he was fine for a few years, but just never put it all together. Gomaha said I'd have no problem with my Saints taking Ashton Genty at 9 if he's available. I'm actually hearing that Genty could fall and not just out of the top 10. So Dallas is an interesting, I think Genty's going to be on the board for Dallas at 12. Question is, do they take him? And if they don't, you could see quite a fall. Bill Workman said my weaknesses are offensive line versatility, big wide receivers, that used to be one of mine too, and defensive ends from the SEC. Let's see. Eat and sleep football. Logan Jackson could drop down boards because of his 40 time and turn into an absolute steal. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to assume you're talking about Landon Jackson. in the comments. Let me know if you were. Oh, there we go. I see it now. Landon. I was about to say Logan Jackson. I'm not 100% sure who you're talking about there. Landon Jackson. Yeah, he could run slow. It would not shock me at all. And look. I think he's going to fall a little bit just based off what he did at the Senior Bowl. So, Alex S. Pearce needs to show out after not going to a bowl game. I agree. I think Pearce needs to have a really good workout and really good interviews. Randy Lutz, by the way, just for your own knowledge, specifically the 3-round Pats mock is what brought me to your channel. You do good work. Thank you for that. I've been watching and liking as much as I can in the past to help the algorithm. We appreciate you more than we could ever say, Randy Lutz, and welcome into our little house of reprehensibles here. Alex S. said Will Johnson should not run. I've heard a lot of that. The problem, all right, so Will Johnson's a really good example. I have Will Johnson somewhere in the mid 4.4s, which is only fractionally slower than what I have Travis Hunter at. If he doesn't run, it's going to make a certain section of scouts think that he's hiding something. So to me, I think he has to run. And he damn well better hope he runs pretty well. DNA Tooth Podcast, Cam Scattaboo is David Montgomery on Wish. It's not a bad comparison at all. Alex S., you haven't mentioned Ransom or Wilson Jr. You're going to have to tell me which Wilson Jr. you're talking about. Guys, do me a favor. Use first names. I've got 700 prospects graded. So if it's a guy that I don't currently have in the top 100, I'm going to need a little more information. I do know who you're talking about with Lathon Ransom from Ohio State. He's in my 4th round. So I have not mentioned him yet. I have him as a 4th round safety. And let me dig a little deeper here and see what number safety I have him. Let's see. Lathon Ransom is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He is my number 9 safety in the class. Let me go into the chat and see if Alex S. explained who he's talking about. That Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr. is a running back for the 49ers. Are you talking about Kevin Winston Jr.? He already went to the Jets. He was the 3rd round pick of the Jets. I'm literally looking through every name I have just to make sure there is a Jaden Reed from Penn State. There is a Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. There we go. Okay, yeah, Kevin Winston Jr. went to the Jets. He was, I can't remember the pick number, but he was a 3rd round pick for the Jets. Yeah, you got to understand, if you ask me a name like that, you can confuse the shit out of me because I don't know who you're talking about. If I don't have them graded, and I wish I could show this great big board. Bill Workman can attest to it because he saw me build it in Mobile. I got a lot of names. I'll put it this way. I have 80 defensive ends. And that's just, or not defensive end, cornerbacks. That's just outside corners. I have another 30 slot guys. So if I look perplexed, it's because that name is not registering in my brain. Okay. Alex S. said Scattaboo can catch, though. I agree. And he asked who's the guy you said you hate in the comment section yesterday. I've answered 500 comments. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Andreas Pinckney, if Mike Green has domestic violences, he is off the Saints board. They don't take character red flag guys. They're focused on get high character team captain guys. There are a lot of teams that operate that way. I would say about a third of the teams in the league are at that point where they go high character guys. There's another third of the league that goes, I don't give a shit about your issues like that because I'll coach it out of you. And I'm going to be honest with you, and this is not a shot directly at the Saints, I promise. What I have found is the teams that look at the high character captain guys tend to pick in the top 16, and the teams that don't give two shits about it tend to pick in the back 16. You can take that for what it's worth. And pissed off Browns fans said exactly what I was getting ready to say. The Eagles will draft you even if you killed somebody. The Eagles, you could walk into their interview literally dragging a dead hooker behind you, and they would go, there's a story there. Because they just want football players, and they think that their culture is enough to fix any of those things. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. I just say one has a track record of being more successful. Alex says, why are Grant and Tyleik Williams falling out of the top 20? Tyleik Williams was never in the top 20, at least not for me, because he is specifically a run defender. The problem with Kenneth Grant is that the more you dig into the tape, the more you watch a lot of him just kind of cleaning up for Mason Graham. And so you start to wonder, yes, he's a big physical freak and he can move. He's a big dancing bear, blah, 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 blah. What's he going to do if he's the best defensive tackle on the team? Which, if I draft you in the first round, I kind of expect you to be. And that's what's pushing him down. Tyleik Williams, to me, I don't think has fallen at all. I always had him right about the 50 area. And I think anybody that had him higher than that, first of all, you got to realize there's going to be about half the teams in the league that don't think he's a scheme fit. So then you get into how many of the teams that think he is a scheme fit really need a guy that can stop the run, and that limits you down to about 5 teams. One of the reasons that I've been more accurate than most when it comes to mock drafts is that literally I have a range of teams on guys where I go, it's going to be one of these 6. So then it makes it a little easier for me to figure out where guys go. But that's because I'm a nerd and I haven't left my house in a week, and the draft is life. What are those damn stickers? Is it Salt Life? We should make a draft life sticker just like that for people that are like me. Randy Lutz. Oh, wait. Sorry. Tim Raymond. I have a conspiracy theory that some players run slow on purpose. I will say I do not agree with you, because you can cost yourself a shitload of money on that. I have a conspiracy theory that some guys mysteriously have an injury because they get guarantees the same way that we did when I used to cover the NBA draft. Because there are a lot of guys that will just randomly pull out. All right, let me explain to you how the schedule works here. These guys come in during the morning. So defensive linemen, I believe, are first. And I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I can look at it in a minute if I need to. Defensive linemen come in the morning. They interview with the media. Then they go behind closed doors and interview with the teams. They don't work out for 2 days. So they get all the interviews out of the way. I have long thought there is a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're taking you in the first round. You've got a hamstring because they don't want you to get hurt running the drills. So that would be more my conspiracy than that they run slow on purpose. If you're running the 40, it's because you do not have a guarantee of any kind. But I think there are guys that they run it once and they pull up, oh God, and then they don't run it again. And those guys, yeah, they have a guarantee. Now to Randy Lutz, and I'm going to read both of these together because I think they're tied to each other. How much stock do you put into the idea of players being seen as leaders within their position groups or at the Senior Bowl, for instance? I heard a lot of that about Oladejo at the Senior Bowl, for example. Do teams care about that sort of thing? Are teams really looking for a 22-year-old kid to come lead the men in their locker rooms or just not fuck up? That's a really good question. All right, so I'll use Olafemi Oladejo as a really good example. I think he went from a 50 to the 6th round kind of guy to into the late 4, because I start looking for guys like Alex Anzalone, who's not hyper physical, he's not hyper athletic, but God almighty, he's a good locker room guy. I'm looking at those guys in day 3. In the first round, I live by the same philosophy that the Eagles do. There are only so many guys that can play this game at a certain level. Now, do I want you to be domestic violence? For me is one of those things that you don't get. You don't get mulligans with me. If I can confirm those things, it changes a shitload for me. Because any guy that beats on women, you've basically told me everything I need to know about you without telling me shit else. And that pushes you way down the board for me, if I'd even draft you at all. Other things like, hey, he drives cars really fast. Does he drive them drunk? Because that's different. If he's just Jalen Carter and he likes to drive cars really fast, yeah, I don't give a shit. Oh, he likes to smoke weed. Don't give a shit. I mean, there are a lot of things that I've seen as character red flags that I go, I don't give a shit. Now, the leader of men thing, yes, if I get into rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8, I mean, undrafted free agency, and I got two guys at the same position, and I have them evaluated really closely, and one of them is a great leader of men, then I will take him over the other. I also look at places like the Jets, where Aaron Glenn is really trying to change a culture. Then I get more into the leader of men thing, culture guys that are going to buy in. But teams that are already established, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Baltimore, I don't care. I really don't care. Okay, so you got character red flags. Whoop-de-fucking-do. So did Warren Sapp. And look, Warren Sapp is a train wreck between the ears. I've met him. Was he a train wreck for 15 years in the NFL? Not till he went to the Raiders. With Tampa Bay, he was just fine. And that, to me, I'm telling you, that's an example I could write a book about. Shit. I just lost my spot in the chat. There we go. Alex says, Jeremy, you mentioned that Jahad Campbell can convert to an edge. What do you think about the Panthers trading up to 50-ish for him? I don't think he will last that long. I have him at 50-ish, early 50, to a team that's really, really good. And even with that, I was kind of looking at it going, yeah, there's too much smoke here. That's too low. I think if you want Jahad Campbell, you're going to have to trade back into the first round. And I just really don't want Carolina trading up picks. I need inventory. I need players. I need depth. I need to really be attacking this to make up for what I lost in the Bryce Young deal. So would I hate it if they traded up? No. I would like it better if they traded down. The problem is, as I've stated, I just don't think there are a lot of I don't think there are a lot of teams that are going to be looking to trade up. Eating Sleep Football said, I thought about Logan Hall as I was typing Landon Jackson and combine them into one person. Trust me, that's really easy for me to do. That was one of the reasons I said, make sure that you get the names right before you comment them to me. Tank and I once had an argument for like 45 minutes about a guy, and I cannot remember now who the guy was. If he was here, I promise you, he could tell you. The problem is I'd combine two people into one guy in my own head. So I had the school and the last name from one player. I had the first name and some other dumb thing from another player, and I'd combine them into one guy, and Tank could not for the fucking life of him figure out who I was talking about. So he argued player A, I argued player B, and it took about 45 minutes before we figured out, we're arguing about two completely different people. It's not good. Austin Groves, will more defensive players be picked in this draft due to how good Philly's defensive line was in the Super Bowl? More defensive players will be picked in this draft because defense is better than offense in this draft. What Philadelphia did, it's an imitation league. I think you'll see edge rushers get bumped up just a little bit. So will it have a huge effect? No. Will it be tangible? Yeah, probably. But you also, how much of that is just that defense is better than offense in this draft? Let's see. Evan Doyle said he's doing a deep dive on safeties this weekend. Curious to see how the top 10s compare via the draft site. I would love to do a comp. Evan Doyle, very talented writer who I'm going to need to reach out to do some editing for us, because I have learned I'm a shitty one. Like I was a writer. For those of you that don't know, there is one state, and yes, I'm proud of saying this. Yes, I humble brag more than any person you'll ever meet. Sorry, it's just who I am. There's one person in the history of the state of North Carolina that's ever been State Sports Writer of the Year 3 times, and it's this guy. Here's what I have learned in just a few weeks of doing the draft website. My editors were fucking saints because grammatically, after I haven't written anything in probably 10 years, I am not as good at grammar as I used to be. So, Evan, you and I, we need to chat. Alex got the bug. Apologies, my friend. That bug is a bitch. I just got over it, and it was absolutely awful. So T's and P's for you, and hope you are feeling better, my friend, in the coming days. Red Sea said my comp on Scadaboo is a smaller James Conner. That's not a bad comp. I actually like that a lot. I may need to make a note of that because that one's that good. I think he's a better pass catcher than Conner, but that's a good comp. Brandon Hollums said that the Titans are, I don't give a shit, as well they should be. If you can physically play football, especially if it's on the offensive side, the Tennessee Titans should not care if you show up in Nate Newton's van to day one of practices. That's a reference for the oldermen in this here chat. Alex S., the Steelers are the coaching type. Tomlin has said that if you can play ball, he will coach you into a Steeler. And there are a lot of those. The Ravens feel the same way. The Eagles feel the same way. In large part, the Chiefs feel the same way. So you just look at how many good teams have gone, just get me talent and I'll figure it out. There's a reason for that. Now, you also can't put dumpster fire guys into dumpster fire cultures because they will multiply, and then they team up, and then the next thing you know, you have the mid-2000s Cincinnati Bengals. Sorry, Doyle. Didn't mean to take a shot at your team there, but it was the first example that came to my head. Notorious B.I.G. said that the Saints can't care that much about character. They did draft Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's a good point. He has served to be exactly the player that I thought he would be and exactly the guy that I thought he would be. And I had huge character red flags on him, and weird, teams still want him. So and I'm not going to lie to you, if you look at how much do character red flags matter, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a really good example of he had a lot of them. It hadn't held him back much. Let's see. Evan Doyle said, speaking of obscure guys, has the mullet seen any of Nate Valcarel, rangy safety ball hawk that I'm in love with? The name does not hit me off the top of my head. It does not mean that I haven't seen any of him. Let me look at my... make sure he's not hidden somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. That's a name that it appears that I do not have on my board at all. The kids from NIU. Okay, I'm going to have to make a note on Nate Valcarel because I do not have him on my list. So I will dig into a little tape and I will get back to you on that one. And we are, by the way, to the point in the year where what just happened is going to happen a lot. Andreas Pinckney said big because Aaron Glenn beat the table for him and Peyton trusted him. Aaron Glenn does do that. And I'm really interested to see how that Aaron Glenn culture and Darren Muji, how that blends with the Jets. And you know why? Because I'm a big dumb asshole that's going to get fooled by the Jets again. And a year from now, I'm going to go, oh, the talent, and they're good, and they got Jackson Dart to play quarterback, and they're just going to kick me in the nuts again. Because that's what they do. Tim Raymond said, big, yeah, you guys hit and missed at the same time with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You're not wrong. Pinckney said the last 4 drafts of the Saints have not drafted red flags at all. That's not true because they drafted A.T. Perry. I don't really agree with it. Always felt you need a little crazy in the locker room. I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right, so here's my rule about character red flags. The further you are away from the ball, the less I give a shit about who you are as a person. Wide receivers, cornerbacks, running backs, safeties, I don't give a shit. Linebackers, tackles, I don't care as much. Edge rushers, I don't care as much. Defensive tackles, I don't care a ton. Center, quarterback, yeah, I really need you to be solid between the ears. The signal caller on defense, whether it's your middle linebacker, whoever the green dot is, I really need you to be an upstanding citizen. Everybody else, it's ranging areas of don't give a shit. So that's a good point, Andreas Pinckney. But you did draft one red flag guy, A.T. Perry, that I don't think there was a lot to those red flags, but he was a red flag guy. Ramonzo Berry said, I don't expect Jack Sawyer to run very fast. I don't think I do either. I want to check and see what number I have on him. LMNO Sawyer. I have him at a 4.67. So we will see if he can live up to that, or if he maybe he goes a little faster than that. You never know. There's always a possibility that a guy surprises you. I have been surprised by guys in the past. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't. So, okay, let's go back here. Evan Doyle also, I'm not sure Watts isn't a better value than Starks unless you're a few teams who need his wider skill set. There are a lot of people that like Xavier Watts a lot, and I'm one of them. I think he's a no doubt top 50 guy. I know exactly what he's going to be, and if I'm looking for more of a box safety, I don't disagree with you at all. I also think Starks is going to fall, so that might skew me in terms of that value thing. Chiefs Nation UK said America stole the English language. I don't know where that came from, but I mean, you're not wrong. We did. And then we changed it and we made it ours, our own, because we have shit like y'all and we don't have bonnets and shit like that. I've known a couple English people over the course of my life, and anytime I would talk to them, they would invariably reference something, and it would be a term that I had absolutely no fucking clue what it was, and we have a term for it that in my own head just makes a lot more sense. Bill Workman, dumpster fire guys plus dumpster fire organizations equals the tire fire from The Simpsons. It just keeps on burning. Just keeps on burning. Bob Brown, the thought of adding Pearce, who is dropping, to a room with Smith and Hunt is really exciting. Are these red flags real or just lazy reporting? All right. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll mention it again. When it comes to red flags, I do my own personal digging. I have people that I trust that I know they do their legwork. I don't have the resources to hire, some former FBI guy to look into all these people. The teams do. There are certain teams that will tell me these things. And then I have other guys that have resources that are different. The combine is really where all those things come together. As of right now, the James Pearce red flags seem like a lot of bullshit to me. A lot of immature 20-year-old kid bullshit to me. As soon as I find that out next week in Indianapolis, I'll let you know. But it seems to be very widespread right now, which that doesn't always mean a lot. It's kind of like the Marilyn Manson rib thing. Yeah, you all believed that, didn't you? I know I did. It's all bullshit. Every bit of it. Bullshit. And we all heard it. Austin Groves said, we won it. We didn't steal it. Anyway. All right. Back to position groupings here. I got about 30 minutes left in this here live stream. If you have a question you really want answered, super chat that, because I may not get all the way back to the chat again. Get back to my list of guys that are invited to the combine. Where did that list go? It's here somewhere. There it is. There it is. All right, so we'll go to linebackers. There are a ton of linebackers that I really want to see. I want to see how they move. Eugene Asante, kid out of Auburn. We talked about that yesterday with Auburn prospects and how they really shine at the Senior Bowl. Then they come to the to the combine and either continue to surge or they come back to normal, and then they go to the NFL and really don't do anything. I'm intrigued by Asante. Jeffrey Bossa, I want to see how fast he runs. Jahad Campbell, kind of same thing. I want to see how fast he runs and the measurables. Barrett Carter is one of the more interesting players that I think I've seen in a draft in the last handful of years. Just solely because I think he's a really good player. But then I look at Jeremiah Trotter and go, Jeremiah Trotter was a better player. And he was irrelevant and fell like a rock in the draft. I'm curious. I think there's a possibility it happens to Barrett Carter as well. Jamin Dumas Johnson is a guy that I like a lot. Shamar James, he really shined at times at the Senior Bowl. I want to see how he works out. Kobe King, good Lord, you talk about an interesting eval. Kobe King is one of them. Jack Kaiser is one of those leadership guys that we were talking about, really good locker room guy. Demetrius Knight, I want to see how fast he runs. Cody Lindenberg, you'll notice that I'm not as high on him as everybody else, so there is a part of me that's really intrigued by him. And Carson Schlesinger, you'll notice I'm not as high on him as everybody else in the industry, and I don't see it. I see him as an early day 3 guy, and that's at best. And that's really about it for linebackers. There's not a ton of them here, and linebacker's not a great position, and a lot of them I'm already pretty cemented in to how I feel. Alex S., who is the Savion Williams of the defensive side of the ball? You think Isaiah Simmons type guys are going to be more common. And I think what you're really asking is just multiple guys who can do a lot of different things. My answer to that would probably be Sebastian Castro is up there pretty high. Nick Eamon-Warry's up there pretty high. The hyper athletic Jalen Walker. But mainly because I don't know what the hell he is. Those are probably my best examples of that. I think Jeffrey Bossa could be that, but Bossa's small. That's the only thing that really bothers me about him is that you see him in person and he is really thin, especially for a linebacker. But then you watch him play and go, oh, there that went. I don't give a shit anymore. I don't care if he's thin. Hell, I'll play him at safety if I need to. I mean, he lists at 235, and I got news for you. If he's 235, if he's carrying 235 all the time, then I'm about 330, which I'm not. No matter what smartasses in the comments really want to say. Let's see. Bill Booty Cheeks said Jeremy's going to stalk James Pearce and Mike Green to their hotel rooms. No, I'm just going to wait till they appear in the convention center, and I'm going to ask the question that everybody wants to ask, which is, hey, you're about to go behind closed doors and have real serious conversations with NFL teams about all these things. What would you like to say to the public without getting too deep? I'm going to give you a shot at 30 seconds to say whatever you want to. Fire away, and I really want to see what they say. Austin Grove said we borrowed it, which talking about the English language, which explains the education rates. Chiefs Nation UK education rates I can explain to you in one sentence. There are a lot of really stupid parents in America. Do with that what you will. Putting in work said Bossa is fast and gets to top speed quick. He certainly does. Pinckney said we as Americans are going to need some ice for that burn from Chiefs Nation UK. It was pretty solid. Red Sea, Sheldon Rankins released. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm so buried into the draft. I don't even remember. Is he still in Cincinnati? Yes, Bengals released Sheldon Rankins. There are different sides of me. Once I get it full into the draft, I don't remember shit about what happened last year. Not really looking at what's happening next year. I'll learn that in the offseason. Once the season starts, the draft really, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. I'm still doing it in the background, but I'm not as versed as I should be. Then the playoffs happen, and it's a crash course. Alex S. said Barrett Carter has been so good for a while now. I think it's viewer fatigue. It very well could be. Let's see. Randy Lutz, Kobe King, and Cody Lindenberg are the little brothers of recent prospects. correct. I believe that's right. I get it. So Randy, I know Randy's new here, so I don't know if I've ever explained this before. I get into cute little facts and trinkets about guys after that leads into the 7-round mock drafts, which start in the middle of March. So after I go to the combine, we basically get these big information packets on all these guys, and it tells me all those things. So I believe that's right, but I'm not positive. And he asked, I wonder if there's any correlation there to success or lack thereof in the NFL. That gets into a helmet scouting thing that to me it's interesting. I don't always do it. I see pissed off Browns fans said, never draft Clemson linebackers. That one is interesting. So I think there is something to, there are certain teams that just don't produce certain positions. And I think Clemson is one of those with linebackers. So there is definitely something to that. And Randy followed it up with Kalen King. That is correct. I remember Kalen had a twin. I just couldn't remember his name. Kalen and Kobe King are twins. And Tyler Lindenberg from Minnesota. I'm not going to lie. I want to say they're related, but I'm not positive. No, I do not believe I believe you're thinking of Tyler Linderbaum. I don't remember a Tyler Linderberg. Make sure I'm spelling that name correctly. I get the way guys' names are spelled stuck in my head sometimes. And Lindenberg, not Linderberg. And I will fuck it up and I will type it the wrong way. Yeah, I'm not seeing. I don't remember him specifically, but I can't tell you it didn't happen. So that'd be my best answer on that one. Let's see. Injuries killed what Rankins could have been. Loved him on the Saints when he was healthy. Rankins he's a situational. You got to use him the way the Jets do. If he plays more than 30% of snaps, you're using him wrong. He will sign with somebody else. The Texans used him incorrectly. I think the Bengals used him incorrectly. So I liked him with the Saints as well. I liked him with the Jets. And you never know. He might wind up with San Francisco. I think he'd be great with Robert Saleh again. DNA Tooth Podcast asked Jeremy, which corner is a good fit for the Packers? I will do you one step better. I will give you one in every single round. Benjamin Morrison, if you do it in round 1. I don't have one in round 2, but I also don't have a lot of corners in round 2. Quincy Riley, if you go round 3. Then if you get into more the later times, I will go Mello Dotson out of Kansas. I'm trying to find one that I like late. If you want to go undrafted free agent, Tony Grimes out of UNLV. That was just absolutely 100% off the top of my head. Putting in work the list of Clemson Tigers that have been drafted by the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have never drafted a Clemson Tiger, which is kind of shocking to me. That is a shocking stat to me, but it is true. Gigi's talking about bald eagles. I love the tangents that we get off on. Clemson puts out toolsy but poor technique defensive line prospects. I could say the same thing about their linebackers too. That from Randy Lutz. Gigi Gambling said you're thinking about the blimp catching on fire. That was the Hindenburg. He is Cody Lindenberg. And Randy Lutz was talking about Tyler Linderbaum. That was a center from Iowa. And this is Cody Lindenberg. That was a lot of Hinden things. But yes, no relation between Cody Lindenberg and Tyler Linderbaum. DNA Tooth Podcast, I think Morrison is the best man cover corner in the draft. Better than Travis Hunter just in man-to-man, in my opinion. I can't fully agree with you on that, but it's pretty damn close. I think they're way closer than people believe. The thing about Morrison's the medical. That hip is one of the weirdest. It's one of the weirdest things that I've seen in a long time because nobody has any information on it. And when I say nobody has any information, nobody has any information. Nobody knows shit. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Nobody knows exactly how it's rehabbing. Nobody knows jack shit. And it is so bizarre. In a world where information moves so fluidly, it is shocking that we have nothing on that. And I can't help but wonder if there's a reason why. Let's see. GG Gambling, who has the best NFL name in the draft? Call this the Storm Duck list of best names. Prophet Brown from USC was the first name that I thought of. Severe Wright from Nebraska was pretty high on that list. Smile Munden is up there pretty high. I don't know. I could dig into that. Stone Blanton. That's a great name. Stone Blanton. That's a name for like a Bond villain or some shit. Yeah, we could do that. That could be a fun thing to do. The Storm Duck team, the all name list. Oh God, who would be the quarterback of the all name list? I mean, I feel like it has to be Cowboy Will Rogers, because that is without a doubt the. Yeah, we can totally do that. Let's see. Alex S. said there was a pitcher named Lindberger if we really want to spice it up. Yes, there have been a lot of those over the years. Randy Lutz, special teams, anything worth noting for the combine or otherwise? I put no stock into the kickers or anything like that. Not really. I mean, the thing is that if you see names that you're not really familiar with, they're probably special teamers when they come into the NFL draft. No, I don't really have anything with special teams. Although I could dig into it and chuck something out on that Monday with special teams. I'll dig into that. Let's see. Kobe Bryant, corner from Kansas. That's a really good one. He would definitely be on the all-name team. Chiefs Nation UK said the Chiefs haven't drafted an Alabama player since 2008. I want to verify something just because you just said that. And I know we talked about that the other day. Yeah, I don't have them taking one this year either, but I do have them taking two from a real big school. So just a little teaser for the Chiefs mock that will be coming out tomorrow. Notorious B.I.G. asked, are you going live before or after the workouts? Most likely after. Specifically Thursday, Friday. We might go before Monday or Saturday, Sunday. I will put out a content schedule on social media over the weekend that will tell you all of that. If I don't get to it this weekend, I'll have it out for Monday. It'll be one of the first things I do when I get into Indianapolis. Because I don't have all the information right now, but usually when we get that first packet, everything else kind of rolls through. And I may have it in my email right now for all I know. Okay, we'll go The last position group at the combine, guys, that I really want to see is defensive backs. And I'll just fire through this pretty quick because I'm running low on time. Zy Alexander out of LSU, I want to see how he runs. I've got a pretty good idea about a lot of these corners. There's not a lot of guys that I have a lot of questions about. Nick Emanwari and O'Donnell Fortune, both South Carolina guys. Emanwari a safety, Fortune a corner. I want to see how they work out. I want to see how Emanwari moves in the underwear Olympics, as it's been called, in a pair of shorts, just because I'm trying to really put a thumb on where exactly he's going to play. Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, that's a lot of was this year an aberration. Is he the guy I had seen before? Two guys that are just kind of, I'm growing to really like them as time goes on. Bilal Cohn from Western Michigan and Ryan Lane III from Navy. Two guys that I like the tape on. R.J. Mickens from Clemson. That's a name you're going to hear me say a lot. I know his dad, Ray. He was a corner for the Jets. And I started digging into him because of his dad. His dad's one of my favorite Jets of all time and just an absolutely awesome guy. I dug into RJ because of him, and then I started to really like him. So I want to watch the interview on him. Malachi Moore, it's all about the interviews. Benjamin Morrison, I can't imagine he's actually working out, but if he does, it changes a lot. Jabbar Muhammad, one of my favorite slot corners in this class. I want to see how fast Darien Porter out of Iowa State runs. If Siobhan Ravel were to run, obviously that would be headline news to me. I want to see how fast Quincy Riley is and Malachi Starks. And Azarie Thomas, I want to see how he moves in the drills. Also want to see with Kevin Winston how he moves coming off the injury that ended his season at Penn State. His ACL injury happened so early that I think there's a great chance he will work out. So, Alex S., do you think there are any safeties that could play true nickel or vice versa? I do. That becomes like a whole... Sebastian Castro is one of those off the top of my head. I actually have a few of those. That it feels like I need to section those off. But the first one that came to my mind was Sebastian Castro. I think he's a true kind of move piece like that. That's another thing that I'll try to work on for next week at the Combine. GG Gambling said the Rams are so hard to mock, they'll draft the baggage guy from Publix and he'll be a starting corner or a starting defensive tackle in the league. Yes, they are hard to mock. In the last, I actually just pulled this up for when I recorded the Rams mock earlier today. Let me see if I still got this pick pulled up. I know it's here somewhere. This is really captivating shit. So the ironic thing about the Rams is that we always talk about how they find these random guys out of fucking nowhere. They don't ever really draft guys from weird, outlandish schools anymore. So last year they went Florida State, Michigan, Miami, Washington State, Clemson, Stanford, Texas, Arkansas, Kansas State. That's all Power 5 schools. Except Washington State, and it's still really one, honestly. The year before, they went TCU, Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia, Appalachian State, Georgia, Clemson, BYU, TCU, Nebraska. Good God, they had a lot of picks. Nebraska, Mississippi, a punter out of Wingate, Oklahoma State, Toledo. Now, you go back a handful of years, and that's where you were seeing Concordia, St. Paul, Central Arkansas, the Fighting David Walkers that brought us Robert Rochelle, Montana State, Stephen F. Austin. They don't do that as much anymore. Now they just tend to find guys that weren't big names at big schools, and it's an interesting draft strategy, but it works out. GG Gambling said, "Oh yeah, the dude from Penn State who got hurt week 1 and then never heard from him again. He tore his ACL. His name's Kevin Winston Jr. He's a safety." And I have him as a day 2 selection. So definitely a guy I'll be keeping an eye on. Randy Lutz said Malik Verdon, Iowa State had a big secondary. Yes, they did. He's listed at 6'4", 220, Do you have any thoughts on him? I do. Let's see. I have Malik Verdon as my safety number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He is my safety number 16, and I think there's a lot of raw to like with him. He is far from a draftable prospect. I don't actually agree with that. I think he is a borderline draftable, borderline priority undrafted free agent, solely because I think there's a lot to like about him athletically. I just believe you're going to have to turn him into a football player, because I don't really see a football player right now. I see a hyper athletic, really moldable piece. But I do think there is a possibility that he can come in and play special teams early, and then you just kind of mold him. And I like those guys a lot. Notorious B.I.G. said I hit on Kobe Turner and Jared Verse, but missed on Ernest Jones. I think we all know that how I felt about Jared Verse, and I will take that one as a win. Okay. We went a little over an hour, meant to go about an hour. Who's shocked that I went long? Because I do damn near every time I do this. But mock drafts coming out. Got the next one at 4 o'clock, one at 8 o'clock, and we will go 8, 12, 4, 8, both of the next 2 days. So mock drafts coming out. It's draftmas season. This will be our last live stream before I am in Indianapolis, Indiana, with armchair commentary. The resident Canadian David Smith. We're taking over Indianapolis. We're going to have interviews. We're going to have all kinds of stuff from the Combine. Looking forward to it. Me and the Parks Ford Mobile Studio will be heading out of here early Monday. I'm going to enjoy a weekend with my wife before I'm gone for a week. So you will not see me this weekend. You'll see me again on Monday in Indianapolis. I'm looking forward to it. Thank all you guys that hang out with me for these lives. We go T's and P's again to Tank. Hope he will be back and better than ever next week. Hate that he's got to spend a weekend in the hospital. That will be 8 days he has spent in the hospital for this little injury. So T's and P's to Tank. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you from the Hoosier State, Indianapolis, Indiana, 2025 Scouting Combine. I will see you next week.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go!
To last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything